we've got reporting from Action Network's Brett McMurphy that Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff has already toured San Diego State. Dennis Dodd reporting that. And he is planning to visit SMU today on Wednesday. And the Pac-12, according to our own Dennis Dodd, Big Game Dennis Dodd, says that Pac-12 might be looking to expand its conference before nailing down its new media rights deal. Now, the Pac-12 are the next school that's up. Big Ten signed a new deal. Big 12 signed a new deal. SEC, of course, is going to enter into its new deal coming up in 2024. And the ACC, well, it's like 2095 before their deal comes up. So the conference realignment pieces seem to be moving again. The machine is going. If the Pac-12 is, in fact, trying to get San Diego State and SMU on board, my thoughts are San Diego State and SMU probably would say yes. So let's just go ahead and fast forward with this. What do you make of the Pac-12 targeting these two schools to try to get back up from 10, where they will be after USC and UCLA leave, to 12?
It makes sense in that you're losing both your Los Angeles schools. So San Diego State at least gives you a presence in Southern California, even though San Diego's not Los Angeles. Both cities will get kind of annoyed at you if you tell them they're the same thing. And then SMU makes sense in that the Pac-12 needs a market. Like, it's trying to sell its television rights right now, and it's trying to get as much money as possible, and it's lost Los Angeles. And San Diego, again, it's going to give you Southern Cal, but it's not really going to give you the same kind of zip that having LA has. So you're dipping into Texas, which is a pretty football mad kind of state, has a lot of recruiting, a lot of talent, all that kind of stuff. So it makes sense. That all said, it's hard to be excited about the prospect of losing USC and UCLA and replacing them with San Diego State and SMU. So I don't know. It makes sense. It's hard for me, if I'm a Pac-12 fan, to think it's going to be exciting. And honestly, if I'm Apple or if I'm NBC or CBS or Fox or ESPN or Amazon, whoever the hell is bidding on Pac-12 rights, like, are you sitting there thinking, I'm kind of interested in the Pac-12 at this right? Oh, what? You're getting San Diego State and SMU? Well, here's an extra $20 million. I don't know. It doesn't really do anything for me from that aspect.
So one of the notes from Dennis Dodd is that the next Pac-12 deal is expected to be a split between a streaming service and ESPN. ESPN, clearly the television markets are, matter. We're still dealing with linear cable at that point. But for streaming services, do markets matter? I mean, is that a dumb question? Because you've got your total number of, Amazon Prime is in 66 million households or whatever. Like, there's 66 million Amazon Prime subscribers. So that's your potential reach there. If you are going to be more streaming and more digital, in that sense, I would almost say compliment it, because if you're looking at programs that are not in the Power Five, that from a interest, competitive, and brand standpoint, these are some pretty rock solid programs in San Diego State, in SMU, ones that have been not bottoming out and maintaining a pretty high level of consistency here in the recent history.
Yeah, but I think, honestly, with streaming, it might matter more, because if you have Amazon Prime, how much you paying a month for it? And then you get, the Amazon streaming. You're trying to bring in new customers if you're Amazon. So, it does depend on the market size, because if you are in Dallas and you're trying to get a greater market share in Dallas among people there, among SMU fans who will want to pay a monthly subscription fee to watch SMU play football, that matters. Same in San Diego State. So I think it matters just as much as it does to the cable companies. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about you. I have Amazon Prime. Most people I know already have Amazon Prime. I don't know how many more people are out there that are going to get Amazon just because SMU joined the Pac-12. So again, I don't know how much this is really going to increase. And then also, you mentioned, I think the bigger thing for me is if it's streaming, like if ESPN wants to pay for the Pac-12, ESPN is paying for the Pac-12 so it has something to put late at night on Saturdays, like for the post-prime time games. Amazon doesn't have to give a damn about time windows because it can stream the games when it wants, but it doesn't want to stream it up against other things. So I don't know. I'm not that well versed on this side of this, like the television kind of angle, to really know. It's just no matter how I spin it, I don't really see how SMU and San Diego State really change the calculus for me. And I think it says something to the larger point of what Power Five conferences have become. Because if you go back to the beginning of what the latest, modern conference realignment is, the Big Ten and the SEC have poached schools from other Power Five conferences. And then the other Power Five conferences, the ACC, the Big 12, and the Pac-12, have in turn had to go from Group of Five. And then the Group of Five has gone from the FCS. So with the Pac-12 adding San Diego State and SMU, losing USC and UCLA, to me, in my mind, it becomes somewhat less of a Power Five conference. And I kind of feel the same way about the Big 12. I think the Big 12 is the better conference than the Pac-12 at this point, if this is how the dust settles. But it's just, you're kind of losing all your biggest brands, and it's leaving a product that's just not going to be up to par with what the Big Ten and the SEC have to offer.
Okay, well, back to the disease of more. With a 10-team conference, you have less inventory. You just simply have less games. You have 75 conference games. That number goes up to 90 if you're able to get to 12. When you're trying to sell this deal, you got, from the Pac-12's perspective, you just got to get more games to get out there and sell. And, does this program, bring the same value of USC and UCLA? You can't even have that fight anymore, because right now you're just trying to have as much as possible, especially if you're trying to split it up. To which I would say there, again, from the Pac-12's perspective, if you're going to go out and poach two programs that are not aligned in a Power Five conference or soon to move to a Power Five conference, it is a logical selection of schools to me.
There's a lot of reasons they make sense. It's just, to me, it's not exactly exciting. And the one part of it's for me too, though, we saw how Cal responded to UCLA trying to leave to go to the Big Ten, and however, the academic aspect of it, and they pretty much had to be bought off to let them leave. I want to be in the room when the Pac-12 is trying to sell to the Cal Board of Trustees and the Stanford Board of Trustees, adding San Diego State to the Pac-12, because academically, not quite on the same level.
Listen, as long as that Pac-12 money allows them to create some more shade at San Diego State home games, because I don't know if I've mentioned this publicly, and I'm not a stadium design master, but I saw the videos from this football season of fans huddling under rafters under the bleachers, trying to find any shade that's possible, as apparently so much of that stadium just gets blasted by the Southern California sun. So let's get some state-of-the-art sunshades with that Pac-12 money. Come on. All right, one more thought here in terms of conference realignment and future moves. To me, if this goes down, this does probably put an end to this Big 12 Pac-12 who's gonna poach who.
Sure?
The big part of the Pac-12 is you always wanted to get East. Big 12 always wanted to get West. Big 12 still could get West if they get the Arizona schools, but if the Pac-12 already gets into Texas, and with the Big 12 strengthening its position, and the final piece of this, in the future college football playoff era where there's 6 automatic bids for conference champions, I think that land grab battle might be done.
You sure? Because the Pac-12 would now be reaching into Texas. The Big 12 hasn't really, BYU, I guess, counts as Pac-12 territory, but Big 12 hasn't really reached into Pac-12 territory yet.
So that would be, it's the Arizona schools. That's always what my understanding has been, is the very attractive Phoenix market, and grabbing a surging sort of football community that we've detailed a lot here on the Cover 3 podcast. That could happen. That would be remarkable. That would probably be the end of the Pac-12 at that point.
I think they could go after the Arizona schools. I think they could still go after Colorado and Utah if they want. Add those 4. I don't think it's going to be immediate anytime in the direct future, but I'm never going to put, as long as TV is the main driving force behind this sport, and it has become the driving force behind this sport, and new executives take over and they have to do better than the people they're replacing, which means they have to get more money for what they're selling, conference realignment is never going to go anywhere. So I'm not saying the Big 12 is done trying to poach the Pac-12 yet.
That would be also, if this deal is signed, for example, for the Pac-12 between ESPN and Amazon, that would be another Fox ESPN battle, because then you're just trying to knife them there for that value. So I think that if they do end up expanding, if they end up signing this deal, I think that the Pac-12 will be okay. But I understand that there seems to be a lot of sentiment both out in the ecosystem and even here in the live chat that suggests that Pac-12's days are not for long. I'll stand up for the Pac-12. I think that they'll be okay here. Not the same league without USC and UCLA, without a doubt. But as long as they've still got a path to the college football playoff through automatic bids, and as long as they are able to get this new media rights deal, I think that they will be all right. And these are sensible selections to be able to expand moving forward.
But you know who else has an automatic bid, Chip? The G5. So what are the odds?
It's 6 highest no matter what. There's not a special G5.
Okay,
spot.
But my point is this: what are the odds that the only Pac-12 team getting in the playoff on an annual basis is the conference champion?
That can be said for all of the FBS or all of the conferences that are going to be in the mix besides the SEC and the Big Ten.
Then that's kind of the point I was getting at earlier with who poaches from who.